Holy back to back.
And I'm back.
And he's back. And we're back. After a multi-week absence, unexplained, undiscussed, unrecorded, we're back live talking all things FlyQuest. This is Flight Check Season 5, Episode 25. My name, as always, is Sandy Twos for 2 back-to-back championships. To my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, Nox War and Curly Double Q. The double in Q standing for back-to-back championships, if you will. Nox, I think on the screen I have your name with only one R, but I believe elsewhere it has been with 2 R's in the past. So, you know, those 2 R's also representing the back-to-back championships that FlyQuest has won this year. Wow, what a month that we have basically missed. Lots to talk about. The headline, obviously. FlyQuest takes down, surprisingly, 100 Thieves in the LTA North Conference Final. 3-1 to clinch a spot at Worlds. Number 1 seed in the LTA Championship in a few weeks. And their second title this year, 3rd overall. So much to discuss, not just FlyQuest winning, but the collapse of Cloud9 and Team Liquid, the tragedy that this format, I think, kind of was, and formats have just collectively been across the LOL esports globe. Korean barbecue is on the menu as well.
Oh, always my favorite. One of my favorites.
There's literally so much to discuss that we might as well just get into it right now. Nox, let's just start with takeaways from, immediate reactions to winning 3rd title, second championship in a row in this 3-1 fashion. What was the biggest thing for you in this best of 5?
I think my big thing was this was truly Blippo got player of the series, but this for me I think should have been gone to Inspired, because I think really this is the first time all split that Inspired really was getting like some pressure from the opposing jungler and actually had to truly work for the championship trophy, or like to get like the series win, right? I don't think he's really been pushed at all this split, and so I think River actually genuinely made him earn this victory, and that kind of makes it all the more sweeter, right? Like, I really do feel like this win was deserved because of how much River really pushed Inspired to like really just play out of his mind. So I think that's kind of my big takeaway from this. The 3rd championship is awesome. The back-to-back is great as well. I think, I don't know, maybe the expectations have kind of shifted a little bit. The prerogative, the perspective is a little bit different, because in the past it's like we were always this underdog team. We never had any trophies. We never had any victories. Well, this time around we've already had 2, and so for me it was just kind of a different, like, I almost had the expectation like, yeah, you should win this. So for me, I take almost more pride in how we won it. I thought the way we won was really, really good, and I'm very, very proud of that fact.
Curly, how about you? What was the big takeaway from this championship?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just this year we have become unmatched. No one has been able to approach us. We went undefeated this entire split, and every team that has pushed us to our limits fell before they even got the chance to try again. And so we had the surprise opponent of 100 Thieves, and we gave them 1 game. And really ran away with it. So we've really kind of established our dominance of North American League of Legends right now, and that makes me happy to see in a lot of senses, but also considering a lot of the rabble is about, NA is just so weak right now with all this, it makes me concerned. It's like, all right, are we the only one that's maintaining any momentum? And are we really sharpening ourselves before we head international? Granted, luckily, we have the regional championships coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually get our first taste of international play against the LTA South representatives, which I think should be respected. I know a lot of people, CS fans, haven't were hesitant about the merger, saying like it's weird that they automatically get a spot. But from what I've seen from these teams in the national and international play over the last year, and then just little bits that I've been able to actually catch over the split, like they are, they are actually worth fighting. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping the bout against Vivo Keystars, and whoever the finalists are really get us that next step ready for international play.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing to me about this championship is actually who we were facing. Because I think we were going to be favored no matter who we went up against. And, after Split 2, it was clear that Shopify was going to be in the running, right, for a top 3 spot after their performance. Not only did they exceed those expectations, but the other 2 teams that were expected to be top 3 contenders in Cloud9 and Team Liquid precipitously dropped off to the point where, consider the fact that Team Liquid tied for 5th place with Disguised. Now, if you had come to me and told me that at some point this year, Team Liquid and Disguised would be tied at the end of a season, I would have called social health services because I would have been concerned with whatever drugs you were on. Because they would have had to have been some of the strongest drugs that anyone could possibly be taking to predict this. 100 Thieves, frankly shocking everyone after a fairly abysmal Split 2, and making it, only 2 best-of-5s away from in yesterday's case, they were 1 best-of-5 away, but now they are 2 best-of-5s away from Worlds in their final season. Now, I won't get into, why I don't think as an organization they deserve to go to Worlds. I think that's a different conversation, but I think the players have certainly shown... Yeah, there's just, so much that happened. Yeah, Dokla coming in for Sniper, I feel like rejuvenated this team. But then, again, Cloud9, after that Shopify best of 5 in the first upper round of the bracket, just absolutely looked like a shell. They got taken to 5 games by Disguised, and then 100 Thieves beat them in a best of 5. And there's so many questions I have about why did this happen. I'm going to be so curious to see in the offseason how Cloud9 reacts to this, what pieces go away, what pieces they retain. I think the offseason is going to be fascinating, especially with 100 Thieves players likely all being on the free agent market.
I was gonna say, how am I gonna do the Deadpool in the Discord? I don't know how I'm gonna what all the rules are gonna be.
The Deadpool is just gonna be everybody except for FlyQuest. I almost can guarantee you that barring an absolute, literally the only player I could see FlyQuest not retaining is Quad. Because I think he's been the weakest link this year. But even then, I wouldn't be surprised to see them bring everybody back for a 3rd year in a row.
I could see an argument for Bwipo just because they have Gakugos waiting in the background, but
Yeah.
like
I know.
that's just because they already have him there.
I
Like,
know.
The actual level of play doesn't necessarily warrant
I
it.
know.
You know?
That's
Yeah.
when I would expect, kind of based on how things have been going, I would expect that more mid-season next year, if I'm being real.
Yeah, I could see that too. All right, so God, there's just so much to talk about.
There is.
It's crazy. All right, so back-to-back champs. I'm just going to quickly go over how, because I don't even remember where the split was at when we last did a show. It might have literally been, when did you go overseas?
I left August 21st, which means our last show would have been.
We
trying to put the calendar.
Did we do a show after we
No, we
beat
did not
Team
do.
Liquid?
It was August 11th was our last show.
Yeah, so literally we didn't
That's
talk.
been a month.
We haven't even talked about any of playoffs. So,
All right.
pick and play ends. We're tied with Cloud9 and Shopify for first. Cloud9 takes Shopify, gets beat. We stomped TL, by the way, in a 3-0. That was a stomping. TL then goes down and gets booty blasted by 100 Thieves 3-0, who had just beaten Lion 3-1. Disguised takes out Dignitas, by the way. Photon unable to save. Unable to save anybody. God, what a crazy way to end this year. And then yeah,
I'm not overly concerned about what really happened in the regular season because I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of boring and pointless. I would rather
the pick and play phase was just so uninteresting to me. And then until the TL 100 Thieves series, it was. I mean, I guess Cloud9 Disguised got interesting for a hot minute.
I think the one other thing you could talk about briefly is why did Cloud9 pick Shopify? Why did they not pick Team Liquid?
Yeah,
seriously.
Seriously. Literally, if Cloud9 picks Team Liquid, I don't think they have an issue with Team Liquid because Team Liquid is just an absolute mess right now. And Cloud9 are going to Texas right now.
Right.
And it's not a problem.
Now I am going to counter you on that, if only, not that I disagree, but a month ago, before we had entered playoffs, a lot of people were like, oh man, FlyQuest, we better get first so that we can pick Shopify. And I'm not saying any of us were. I don't remember. I know I sure wasn't. I was like, nah.
Well, I think that was the logical choice.
I'm picking TL every day. Nah. You could see the cracks forming in TL.
Right.
And even if, and Shopify had actually shown up for us before at this time. So I was thinking we should pick TL all day. And I'm glad that we got that, because who on C9 would have, that was the general sentiment at the time, who would have thought to pick TL?
Right.
Anero was too busy cooking drafts. He didn't think about cooking his picks.
I kind of want to turn this to the formatting question, actually, Knox. I think you've kind of segued us right into it a little bit.
Okay.
Besides 100 Thieves having this run, which obviously was very interesting to watch, I was so bored by this split. Was this a boring split for anyone else? Or, this format felt so... the pick and play phase just felt so uninteresting. And maybe it was just because the teams were just not competitive with each other. There wasn't these two very evenly matched teams are going to have to go up against each other. It just always felt like it was one way better team versus one pretty mediocre team, and that's kind of how it felt in most of playoffs as well.
Yeah, I think if you had a league that actually had parity, if you did this in the LCK, I actually think it could be very entertaining, right?
Yeah.
Because I think most of the LCK teams, outside of the very bottom fews, what is it, BMFX or the Freaks?
Yeah.
Whatever,
DN Freaks are terrible.
Yeah, DN Freaks. Outside of that team, I think the other 9 teams can all give to a certain extent, obviously you're still not taking games off of Gen G, but like to a certain extent, you're giving every team in that league a run for their money, even if like the results may generally kind of come out the same. So, but like you come to LTA North, and there's no parity in the league outside of in the early stages of the split between FlyQuest and Cloud9. I mean, yeah, everything's just kind of a stomp. It's very boring, and the only entertaining factor about it is the possible drama that could be started from possibly picking someone, you know?
Right.
But the reality was like, no, it was just not very fun at all. I think the most spice we got out of it was like XU kind of like picking a fight with Dignitas a little bit, which I mean is cute and whatever, but like I wasn't overly like super invested in it.
Right.
And by the time like the drama with like Dokla and Whippo started coming about, like that's not pick and play phase. That's like
Right.
actual playoff time. Like really everything regarding the pick and play, there was no drama behind it whatsoever outside of like XU, and that was it.
Yeah.
So for me, I just until you get a league that actually has some parity, which even then that's so hard to predict. I mean, even in years where like the quality of play is high, like you're not necessarily going to get good parity. So I would hope this is something that LTA like very clearly steers away from going forward.
Yeah, Curly, what are your thoughts on kind of this format where basically I don't know what they could have done differently, you know, because I think people would have been also bored with like a normal, you know, split into playoffs systems. Like, I understand why they felt like they needed to spice things up, but just yeah, I mean, how are you feeling about it? You know, now that it's all said and done, you know, is it the snoozer that I'm calling it, or are you more indifferent about it?
I do think that it was definitely underwhelming. It's the least I've been interested in the league in a while, since I've started watching. I think like the parity portion is like absolutely huge. I think it also would have been more interesting under the 2-split system that we used to have.
Yeah.
Just because everything happens so fast here that you don't really... The pick and play for a few weeks, it's not as entertaining as it could be because it just happens really fast. You don't see half the league.
It needed to happen for longer, like they initially said it was going to.
Yes, exactly. Like if you had been able to really like make your way through the league or all that, or even have potential rematches or something like that through this, then yeah, it could have been interesting. But it just kind of threw in like a weird seeding into a haphazard playoffs, and now we're getting ready to send teams to Worlds. And so it's like, I think if they make Split 2 the pick and play,
or Split 1
work better.
Maybe
or split
do
one.
it for Split 1. And then commit
yeah,
to it all the way through, right? Where like
right, have things carry over.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd manage that to still have playoffs and all that stuff, but
well, Split 1 has always been, well, it's always, I say always, it's been here for 1 year. Split 1 is supposed to be the gimmick split, right? Like,
yeah,
it's short, it's quick, you know, it's, you know, not a big deal, right? And like it gets you to first stand, and that's really all you need it for. So like do something like this then.
Yeah.
Or commit to the idea that you initially set out to do instead of changing it mid-year because, oh, we've got, you know, Fearless now, let's do more best of fives, you know, or whatever. I don't know.
Championship points.
Yeah. Ooh, there we go. I also wonder, I'm curious, for both of you, how much of this, like this feeling, because I think the feeling for me was also a lot of like inevitability. Like this win for FlyQuest just really felt inevitable.
Yeah.
How much of this is because all of a sudden the league, you know, which for all year we had been saying, oh, it's, you know, top 4 versus bottom 4, where all of a sudden like Cloud9 and Team Liquid bottom out. Shopify and 100 Thieves look interesting, but they're nowhere near FlyQuest level. So all of a sudden you've got like this S plus FlyQuest team versus like the B plus Shopify Team Liquid, Shopify 100 Thieves, and then like, okay, then the other 5 teams are there. So, like, is it because the league was just so like almost G2 esque, and it's like, okay, the dust settles in. Oh, yep, G2 wins. Okay. Is there anything to that? Do you guys think?
Yeah, it did feel kind of like I came into this split expecting to win. I was very confident with how we had performed last split, and then at MSI even. So like I was confident that we were going to end up on top, if not winning the whole thing like we did. But watching the other teams fail out did kind of make it a bit lackluster. It's like, okay, what happened to fighting for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so going into this split, part of me was wondering, would FlyQuest have like a little bit of burnout? Because I mean, you have to keep in mind they went and played at MSI, and then they went to the tournament, which shall not be named. And typically, a lot of the times, I mean, historically, there's been proof of this. Like the teams that go to these international events in the middle of summer typically have a little bit of burnout in summer, and they kind of dwindle a little bit, or sometimes even completely fall off. And so, with that in mind, I was kind of wondering, I was like, okay, I see a world where Cloud9 can give us a run for our money, and especially in the first 3 weeks where like Cloud9 went 3-0 with 6-0 perfect game score, then we went 3-0 perfect 6-0 game score, and I thought, I was like, okay, there is definitely a world here where if Cloud9 keeps up this form, and like from what I've heard behind the scenes of scrims and whatnot, like there's definitely a world where Cloud9 can take this. But then they go into the first round and they had this upset against Shopify where they lose, and then in the disguise match, and it's like, okay, clearly this is not the same Cloud9. From like the moment the Shopify match happened, I was like, no, we have this in the bag, and the rest of the playoffs was just kind of a surefire deal. It was just, who are we going to meet? I did not expect it to be 100 Thieves, granted. I still thought it was going to be Cloud9 or 100 Thieves, but there was never a doubt in my mind that we were going to win. It was just, who are we going to face?
Right.
So, yeah. I will say, as a quick side tangent, I am actually glad that it was, well, in terms of like practice for FlyQuest, I'm glad it was 100 Thieves that we faced in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
As a personal fan, I'm very annoyed that it was 100 Thieves. I wish it wasn't 100 Thieves, but as a practice for the guys, I'm very glad, because the play style for how 100 Thieves plays is exactly what I think Fly needs practice against. Because I feel like a lot of the times what they get punished on is like a lot of the mechanics and like the skirmishing abilities of like objective fights, and just how fights are supposed to be played out. They in international play, not domestically, in international play, I feel like they've been punished by like BLG and just like the Eastern teams in general, right? Mm-hmm. So with that said, I think 100 Thieves is one of those teams that actually plays their team fights and skirmishes at a very good international level. They're very, very good at punishing you in that regard, right? So in that sense, I'm very glad it was 100 Thieves that met us in the finals, because I think this match was actually very good practice for Fly in that regard.
Right. I think what is interesting to me, I think also about this format and just how things shook out, was that this is like the classic LCS tale of the team that like figures it out at the end of the year and gets its stuff together, goes on a big run. And this year that team was 100 Thieves. And what's funny is 100 Thieves has done this before, where they're like kind of mid. They show signs, and then boom, out of nowhere, they go on a big run at the end of the year. What I would hope, and the reason why, and actually this is why I am going to actively root for Shopify, is because I think Shopify has a higher ceiling. I think 100 Thieves might have the higher floor than Shopify for like a Worlds standpoint, but I think Shopify has the higher ceiling. And the reason why I say that is I think Shopify, it's a group of players who have kind of done this before. Contracts and Palafox have, made this kind of, underdog run into Worlds before. Fudge has been on the international stage. 100 Thieves, they do have some of the players that have, been to Worlds. They've got FBI, they have River. Dokla did it on Energy a couple years ago. But what I see from 100 Thieves is like a little bit of that like over-eagerness that tends to shoot teams in the foot. And I just feel that Shopify has the higher ceiling because I just think that their players are... I think River is definitely one of the smartest players in the game, but I think collectively, I think Shopify's players are smarter in how they play. So I'll be very interested to see, and I think this actually takes us to the LTA Regional Championship, which, shockingly, I did not realize this, it starts this weekend.
Yep.
100 Thieves in Pain on Saturday, Shopify and Red Canids on Sunday. Winners...
The 100 Thieves Pain is going to be very, very bloody, by the way. That's going to be a fun match.
So, I mean, here's what I'm thinking. The team that looks better in their best of 5, and I'm not saying that I think... like, they were making jokes on the broadcast that, like, oh, can we go 9-0? First of all, you'd have to go 12-0 because when Vikings loses, or Vivo Keedstar loses, they will, they'll be in the losers finals automatically. So we'll have to beat them twice. I don't know if like this is like the secure 9-0, 12-0 that people think it's gonna be. I think 100 Thieves could get shocked.
So, normally I would agree if this was a Pain earlier in the season, and I say this because believe it or not, I've actually watched a lot of LTA South because it's at a time slot that I can actually watch typically.
Nice.
And Pain is actually my favorite Brazilian team. I've followed them since 2013. And I say this knowing full well that they're my favorite team, but they fell off a freaking cliff in the past like 3 weeks.
Pain did?
Yeah, Pain did. They fell off a massive cliff. They got 3-0.
I can tell from fantasy. I stopped drafting their players.
Yeah, they fell off a massive cliff. They got 3-0 by Red Canids. It was very ugly. They had lots and lots of massive mistakes. 100 Thieves, I don't think will have an issue beating this team. But that's why I was saying it will be fun, though, because this is a very bloody team, and 100 Thieves is a very bloody team. These teams love to scrap, and so you're going to have a fun time watching it, but, like, this will be a 100 Thieves win.
Interesting.
I'm more interested in the Shopify versus Red Canids matchup, because Shopify did not look good, and I thought Red Canids, despite their match versus VKS, they had a very, very solid showing as well.
So do you disagree?
Been on the rise, dude.
Do you disagree with my take then, Knox, that Shopify has the higher ceiling?
No, I actually do agree that they have the higher ceiling. I just don't think they're playing at the ceiling.
Okay.
And that's why I'm far more interested in the Red Canids versus Shopify matchup.
Yeah.
If Shopify starts playing closer to what their ceiling has been, they will clean up Red Canids no problem. And then they'll just go on to the next round.
Yeah.
However, if they're playing like they did versus 100 Thieves, there's very much a world where Red Canids can take that best of 5.
Yeah. No, for sure. Curly, what do you think? Like, this is going to be a very interesting weekend. I think it's going to reveal a lot. Because, look, we haven't seen any of these teams, and frankly, I don't think we saw Red or Vivo Keedstars at first stand. Not at first stand, in Split 1. Literally, the only team that's back is Pain.
Yep.
Loud and Furia, who I think were supposed to be, like, the best Brazilian teams, they absolutely disappointed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which I have some... I'm gonna put a pin in that and circle back to it. Curly,
Yeah.
like
I
how should we be feeling about these matchups this weekend, in your opinion?
I think we need to be very tempered. I'm very confident in the Fly versus Vivo Keedstar matchup. I do respect them. They really like ramped up in Split 3 and stayed on top throughout playoffs. But it's that red team is really what I've got my eye on, because they have really escalated. They pulled what 100 Thieves did in the same manner. So
Yeah.
I really think it's going to be them in round 2. I think it's going to be 100 Thieves versus Red. I don't think Shopify is going to get it together. I think Payne's also going to stay down. Um, there is a world where we have one NA representative and 2 South representatives. And honestly, I personally would be very hyped for that, just given all of the discussion when we found out about the merger. I think it would be very just for the South to really say, like, yeah, we earned this. This is our spot. Um, and then it would put a lot of weight and pride on our shoulders being the sole NA representative. But on the flip side, I have issues with 100 Thieves as an organization. I haven't really talked about it much, but you can kind of get it. And it's like, 400 Thieves, the organization, I don't know. But when it comes to League of Legends, when they perform well, I love to watch it happen. And then I do think about the 100 Thieves fans and the ones that have stuck through this. And if they are able to go from like the team that no one really expected and were shitting on coming into Split 3, and now they are going to Worlds, that would be freaking awesome. So it's really, really tough for me. I don't know who's going to make it to round 3 between 100 Thieves and Red, but I'm going to be looking at both of their games throughout the series or throughout the playoffs very closely, because I think they're very exciting teams that can overperform. And I disagree with the ceiling factor, if only because Shopify forgot where the floor is. So it doesn't matter how high your ceiling if you can't step up. But I do think that 100 Thieves can really push it, and especially when it comes to River and Quid. They can push their team very hard, and Dokla has a lot of motivation. And I'm hoping that he's taking all this beef from Whippo shit talking to him, which, please calm down, Whippo. That's an aside. Please dial it back. But I hope he takes all that and channels it into his gameplay and really helps 100 Thieves earn that world spot. So that's my view on everything for this regional championship. I think I am actually just as excited. Like, despite how everything has felt this split, I am very excited for the championship.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Okay, let's do some quick predicts for this weekend before we actually turn to some K barbecue beef. Nox, Red Canids, and Shopify. How you feeling about this one? As our resident LTA South expert.
I mean, at the end of the day, let me be very clear. LTA North is still favored across the board.
Yeah.
I just think this is the one that's probably the closest matchup out of all 3. I'm going to give this one Shopify 3-1. I do think Red Canids will take a game because I definitely think Shopify is very inconsistent right now and not looking super solid.
Game 1, 2, or 3? Which one will they win?
I'm going to give them game 2.
Okay.
Red Canids will take game 2.
Win one game to give the fans false hope, the classic. Curly, how about you? Red versus Shopify.
I'm putting Red 3-1.
Whoa!
Yeah.
It's over.
Is the one. Yeah,
Shopify
is the one that's going to give the false hope.
All right. Fascinating. Okay, Curly then. 100 Thieves and Pain Gaming.
100 Thieves. I just said it. It's going to be... this one, I think, is going to be 3-0.
Okay. All right. Nox, how about you?
I'm also gonna go 3-0, but I do believe it or not, even though it'll only be three games, I think this series will have more kills than Shopify versus Red.
Interesting. I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to go 3-1 for both LTA North teams. I think it's going to be 3-1s across the board.
I mean, technically, in a sense, that's more spicy than... Well, actually, it's more spicy than me. Curly's predicting a Brazil upset. But it's more spicy than me because I'm predicting a 3-0. You actually have both South teams taking a game.
Look, Furia... Here's what I'm going off of. I'm going off of, some deep stats here. Furia did surprisingly well at MSI. These teams are supposedly better than Furia. They placed higher. Right? So they should do fine, right? We'll have to see.
I mean, I think Furia also just kind of had a massive collapse, in my opinion.
That is also true. I'm being very facetious here.
So, I'm just making sure we get all the facts out there.
Yeah.
There was a massive collapse from Furia, unfortunately.
It's very true.
Decent collapse.
All right. Let's turn to last topic. What everyone's been shouting about on Twitter. Bwipo's Korean barbecue comments in an interview with NA Men, which, as he then said on stage, were taken not out of context, but basically he was told... Bwipo claimed that he was basically lied to by an unnamed coach, that this was something that was occurring in order to get him fired up after they got 5-0'd in scrims. Whether or not you choose to believe that is your own choice. But, yeah. And then, obviously, there's the Dokla beef, where he has said things about Dokla in the past. Dokla has taken it personally, refused to fist bump Bwipo on stage, and then after getting 3-1'd, Bwipo did not extend a fist bump to Dokla post-match, but very, I would almost say gleefully, held his hands behind his back. Curly, what's going on here? And how did we get here? And why? And look, because for years I think people have been like, oh, we want drama, we want spice, we want beef between players. And now it's here and people are like, Bwipo needs to, stop talking, and blah, 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 blah. And so, so which is it? Like, do we want drama? Or do we want players to just say PR nice answers all the time?
It's tough, right? Because I agree with wanting more spice. I want it to feel like people care. And this is definitely like the most that has felt. However, this is one of the only times I have ever really felt like I'm not supporting Bwipo in this behavior. I just can't. I'm gonna be honest.
Is there something specific about it that you can't get behind?
There's a lot, right? So, all right, the K barbecue thing. Let's break that down. Sure, yes, it's a known thing that in the LCS you go out for K barbecue as a celebration. Fantastic. Oh, they went out this one time that doesn't make sense to you? Wow. You know what it is? Not that deep. I'm glad it's made you motivated. Seriously, I'm glad you're playing better. But damn, it is not that deep. And then now you found out the real context and that you've been allegedly lied to. And again, great, it worked, but wow. Look at the minor PR mess that's come from that. With respect, you kind of look like a dick. All right, I respect you, Bwipo, as a player. I still love you. I still love FlyQuest, but the end of that road, damn, kind of look like a dick. And then we get to the Dokla thing. And it's like he has criticized opponents before, a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just a thing he's done. And they've combated him a lot. And it hasn't always been PR friendly things. There's been like, yeah, like they overcome it or whatever it is, or he's proven right or anything. But this one feels excessive, and like there's a lot more necessary going on. Like he's quadrupling down. Like his initial reflective take this morning of how he's fought from nothing and he's had perseverance. And like him talking about his experience also going through shit not similar to Dokla, but like just that a level of difficulty that you have to overcome to then get to this point. It's like if you have done the same, why are you turning around and just dogging on him the whole time? What is the reason? Where is this coming from? Like, I get you are critical of other players often. You are not shy about how you feel like that everyone else needs to step up. Well, guess what? This man stepped up. Who cares that shitty managers who opt for international imports instead of developing local talent didn't look at him first? That says more about the league than it does about Dokla. You're taking the wrong angle here, man.
Mm.
And so, like, I think the quadrupling down is just way too much. So we kind of need to pump the brakes a little bit on our shit talk, and like reassess why we're doing it, and like make it actually worthwhile. Because there's a point where it just kind of becomes bullying, and FlyQuest is not that org in my eyes, and I don't want to become that.
Nox, I'm coming to you. You've had a bit of a smirk on your face at times during Curly's comments. So, where are you on all of this?
I mean, I'm kind of just, I'm in the same boat. I think what Bwipo brings to the esports scene outside of his gameplay is actually been very, very helpful for the league. I think LTA North is extremely grateful to have such a massive personality in the scene that is willing to talk so much and really draw the limelight to him. He play, like, and let's be honest here, he plays the villain very well. I don't know how y'all feel about being the villains. Like, us three, we started this podcast when we were the wholesome org, the good org, the everyone loves us org, right? Like, we were, I mean, outside of obviously the hardcore dedicated fans, like we were pretty much everyone's second favorite org, regardless of who you cheered for.
That was the problem for years, was we didn't have fans. We had second choice fans.
Yes. And so now, like, we have obtained, and I mean, I don't know a better way to put this, we have obtained popularity, but we have also shifted the paradigm of how people perceive us and this team, in which case we are villains now. Like, no one truly likes Bwipo right now. A lot of people are still very annoyed and tired of Inspired and how cocky he talks, even though I will stand by him to this day that the man deserves to talk his shit, because I think Inspired is how you probably should do it.
Right.
Because he's not telling people, hey, you're shit. It's just, this is how it is. Like, Bwipo,
like, he knows that he's better than everyone else, and he's just like, yeah, that's just how it is. I'm not going to apologize for being better.
Yes, it's cocky. I don't want to say that Inspired's way of doing it is villainous, but it's a little more on the antagonistic side, right? But that's fine. It brings limelight, it brings attention, all that good stuff. Whereas compared to Bwipo, who his is antagonistic, but it's like it's almost getting personal at times. It's like actually attacking. And so all of this is just, it's an awkward shift to where FlyQuest has come to where it is from where it was back then, where it was this wholesome, fun org, but it's always the second team fans. So now it's everyone's favorite team, but they're kind of perceived as like the villains and not very likable anymore. And so it's been a massive shift, man.
And what's so weird about it is, like, okay, so I'm going to use the Kansas City Chiefs as an example here. Until, like, Mahomes came along, right? Like, by and large, people were kind of, like, the Chiefs were whatever, right? Like, sometimes they contended, sometimes they didn't. Then Pat Mahomes comes along, and it's like, everyone's like, oh, wow, look how good he is, and they win, whatever. Now they contend every year. Now they're in the Super Bowl all the time. They've been to, like, every AFC Championship game for, like, the last 5 or 6 years or whatever it is. Like, every year they're good. Everyone hates the Chiefs now. Like, just everyone hates them. Besides, like, the Cowboys and the Patriots, those are, like, the top 3 hated teams in America. Cowboys, Pats, and the Chiefs. And so, like, there is an inevitability of, like, okay, you get good, people are going to hate you. Remember TSM? You either loved or hated TSM.
Yeah, you were not in the middle with TSM.
Yeah, there's no middle
one
ground.
side of the spectrum or the other.
Like, right now, like, if like, this became, like, a disguised podcast, right? Then we'd be back to where we were. It's like, oh, yeah, I mean, people kind of like disguised, I mean, depending on, who you're talking to. Or, people, I'm trying to think of like Team Liquid right now. Like, nobody, like, dislikes Team Liquid right now.
Well, minus Curly.
I mean, minus Curly, but, like, it's like, because, they're kind of whatever, it's like, they're a safe, nice org with some nice players on them, to root for. People like APA. People like Jan. People love Core JJ. Yuji's a great story. Like all this stuff, right? So, like, the weird thing about FlyQuest right now is, like, you've got Quad, who, he's Quad. He's not really gonna, shit talk. You've got Masu and Busio. Masu's, like, the gentlest soul. He wouldn't hurt a fly, right? You've got Busio, who's just, thirst trapping and memeing, around. Okay, that's not really that big of a deal. And you've got Inspired, who, like, is literally, if not for CHAMPS, the best Western player of all time. Definitely the best Western jungler.
I would say he's the best Western player right now. He's playing better than
I
CHAMPS
would agree.
Right now.
Inspired is currently the best Western player. Historically, I think he needs a few more titles and MVPs to get past CHAMPS. To get past Caps, to get past Perks, to get past Bjergsen, all those guys. And then there's Whippo, who's like, I think, I forget which one of you it was that, like, drew the line between, like, maybe it was you, Nox. How Inspired, it's like, he knows he's good, but he's not an ass about it. Like, if Whippo was, was Keen level, or was, like, Zeus level, I would forgive him on this stuff. Where it's like, okay, yeah, you are that good. But, like, there's been many times on this show we've been like, yep, Whippo's not having a good time. Or like, yep, Whippo's the weak link right now. Mm-hmm. I've never said that about Inspired. I've never said that about Masu. I've never said that about Busio. The only 2 players I've called a weak link on this team have been Whippo and Quad. And so if you're going to talk the way you are talking, I have no problem if you have an issue with, like, how dedicated other teams are. I don't have a problem with, like, somebody taking issue with how North America practices. God knows NA could do more in the practice realm. God knows they could do more scrims, stage games could be better, they could be on lower ping, all this stuff. Things people have talked about for years. But when you make it personal like that, without really having, like, the facts to back it up, you just paint yourself in a very bad color. The fact of the matter is, Dokla has been on some very bad teams. That's why his career has not been, like, Bwippo level, quote-unquote. If y'all will recall, Dokla was on Optic Gaming back in the day. That team was garbage. He was on NRG when they went, like, 7-7, or whatever it was. 8-8. And then made the run to Worlds. And then, oh, by the way, made quarterfinals. Like, Dokla has been around the block and done a few things. He battled his way back up through Academy to get back to LCS. So I think to like make this so personal against him, I think puts you in a bad light. I have no problem with saying like, with like, talking some trash, like, like, oh yeah, next time, don't DC in your lane, like, sure, okay, haha, got him, whatever. But like, there's another level that we're taking this to that is just not like, it's just not cool. Because I think for the record, Dokla, I think, has shown in the last few weeks that he deserves a spot in this league. There's several players on the lower ranked teams that he could take any of their spots. Dig, Disguised, Team Liquid, Lion.
Yeah.
He's probably, side grade to Fudge right now. I just, yeah, I think it's frustrating to, and I think it's frustrating on a larger scale to kind of watch the org kind of embrace the villain role.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good feeling. And I don't like it. I don't like where it's going. It's a little disturbing. I think it goes against the ethos that FlyQuest was established with. It's disappointing. It's time to rein it in.
For me, and I mean, this discussion get really deep, right? But for me, I think it becomes very clear, like, because the staff now it's a mix of 100 Thieves staff and Evil Geniuses staff. It's a mix of the two orgs. It's not, and all the old FlyQuest staff are gone now, right?
Long gone.
Everyone with the exception of basically Parker. Yeah. That's it. Like, everyone else is now 100 Thieves staff or Evil Geniuses staff. And so that's what this org is now. It's a blend of those two orgs. And I mean, if you look at what 100 Thieves was back then, if you look at what Evil Geniuses was back then in terms of their presence, I mean, that is FlyQuest now. And so, yeah. I mean, here you go.
We've metamorphosized.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say. I think there's a larger conversation to be had about the direction of this org, about where we came from, where we see ourselves going, probably for another time. But I would hope, I think it would be very, this is the last thing I'll say here. It would be a very bad look if after all this shit talk and beef and barbecue drama and whatever, to then go into Worlds and flame the fuck out. So we'd better show up. Because otherwise, like, we've put such a target on our backs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's quarterfinals or bust. You have to make quarters. Hell, at this point, we almost have to make semis to, like, justify some of this stuff. Better happen. Better happen.
Can't make a Gen G Game 5 hype twice.
No. Because we actually did that already. We did that at MSI. It's already happened twice now. So it's like, it's time to get past the hump. Like, this is getting to, like, I finally think I understand how G2 fans felt for years. Where, like, the team was designed to go to international and like, regular splits did not matter. And, like, the teams were kind of, like, checked out in regular split and then they would turn it on for internationals. And, like, when they turned it on, they kind of did, kind of didn't sometimes. It depended on the year. Depended on the tournament, maybe the week. Yeah, that's kind of how it feels now, where it's like, okay, cool, yep, we made it to another international. All right, finally, now we can actually see the team, play against teams on its caliber.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I think there has to be a little bit of, like, a, stay humble and stay hungry. Otherwise, it's going to get ugly. It'll get ugly fast. You can only keep winning domestically for so long before things get a little nasty. Okay. After that, I think there's not much left to say.
I was gonna say that was a good wrap up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, thanks everyone for sticking with us after a long absence. Flight Check continues to roll, though, and LTA Championship starts this Saturday, 4 o'clock. 100 Thieves in Pain, followed by Shopify and Red Canids on Sunday.
And then FlyQuest plays the 20th.
The 20th.
Wow.
To make it to Grand Finals in Dallas, which I will be at. Knox will be at. Come say hi. I don't actually even know if I'll be, right. I'll be rooting for FlyQuest. But right now, I'm kind of like, should I even show up with a FlyQuest jersey? I feel like I'm going to get, like, shanked or something.
No, you have to keep in mind, regardless of, people's feelings on Whippo, FlyQuest is still everyone's favorite org right now because they're winning.
Right. They want us to, want us to do well because, we are legitimately... I mean, this was a discussion we didn't even have. The best roster North America has put out in years. So
yeah,
literally, and they've stuck together.
Yeah,
they've stuck together.
I mean, it's like a year and a half now. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't be shocked to see them run it back for a third year. All right, you can follow us on Twitter for all of our reactions and thoughts to the games. Oh, we didn't even discuss the Lee Sin mid. Oh my god.
Woo!
All right, well, hang on. You can actually show at Flight Check Crew.
Sandy's like, no, we're doing this.
Myself at Santos DB, Knox at Knoxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. If you missed any part of the episode, VOD is going to be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and want to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode every Monday night, usually, except for when people are overseas. Usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/Flight Check Crew. Knox, any final notes, shoutouts, or plugs? And what's your take on Lee Sin mid before we wrap up?
Shout out to solar energy because I got solar panels put on my house. So
nice.
Yeah, environmental plus. Yeah. Lee Sin mid probably should have been a Galio angle for being completely honest.
Yeah.
The Lee Sin did not look great. Granted, also blowing your flash level 1 and front. Probably does not help the situation, though.
No, it really does not.
Yeah.
Curly, notes, shoutouts, plugs, and your take on Lee Sin mid.
Shout out to Silksong. I haven't played it or Hollow Knight, but it's blown up over every social media I'm on. Apparently, a game that takes 12 years to come out is only $20 is way cooler than any AAA game. Whoever would have guessed that? But yeah, so shout out to Silksong. Play it for me because my computer probably can't handle it for some reason. And my thoughts on Lee Sin is this solo queue? And why are we doing this? And do you really want a game 5? Please don't do that ever again.
Hey, it went 5 and Quid went 5 and 3 on it in solo queue according to Azale, right? My shout out is going to be my shout out is going to be to the NFL. Week 1. It's almost in the books. Football's back. It's a good time. It's a good distraction. I get to go from one tragically sad team in the Washington Nationals to another tragically sad team in the New England Patriots. So, things just, I don't know if they're getting better, but I don't know if they can get worse. So there's that. All right. We'll be back next week talking about the first round of the LTA Championship. So for now, I'll ask you to stay safe out there and bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail. Whatever you do not forget to hit the head on the nail.
Very, very important.
And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.